Celebrating Canada Day in style, the bidet passed the torch to Siino B Detroit, who took the reins for the July 1, 2025 edition of WWE NXT. As fireworks lit the skies across the country, the action inside the Capitol Wrestling Center burned just as brightly, kicking off with Myles Borne facing Lexis King in a battle that had the crowd on the edge of their seats from the opening bell. Myles Borne, a technical prodigy, squared off against the brash and unapologetic Lexis King. From the opening lock-up, it was clear this match would be a test of style versus swagger. King, oozing arrogance, tried to play mind games, but Borne's no-nonsense mat wrestling kept him grounded. After a back-and-forth battle filled with near falls and counters, Borne ultimately picked up a hard-fought victory, giving his momentum a significant boost in NXT's competitive singles division. Following that intense opener, the energy in the building shifted as Hendry made his NXT debut, greeted by thunderous cheers and a sea of glow sticks. Hendry, the self-proclaimed musical messiah, brought his unique blend of charisma and wrestling prowess to the black and gold brand. Across from him stood Wes Lee, the former North American champion, whose speed and resilience have made him a fan favorite. The match between Hendry and Lee was a clash of styles, Hendry's powerhouse offense versus Lee's lightning-quick aerial assaults. Early on, Lee controlled the pace, frustrating Hendry with his agility. But Hendry's experience and raw power eventually turned the tide. In a thrilling closing sequence, Hendry countered a cardiac kick attempt into a devastating pop-up powerbomb, securing a statement victory in his debut match. As the dust settled from that electric bout, all eyes turned toward the evening's main event, a colossal clash between Japan's Yoshiki Inamura and the rising powerhouse Jasper. The stakes couldn't have been higher, with the winner earning the right to challenge for the NXT Championship. From the moment the bell rang, it was a war of attrition. Inamura, renowned for his time in Noah, brought a relentless, hard-hitting style, while Troy relied on his raw size and explosive athleticism. The two titans traded stiff strikes, suplexes, and crushing slams, creating an atmosphere that felt more like a Tokyo Dome main event than a Tuesday night in Orlando. In the final moments, as both men struggled to their feet, Inamura summoned a burst of energy, hoisting Troy up for a massive Muso slam. The crowd erupted as Inamura covered Troy for the 3 count, cementing his place as the next challenger for the NXT Championship. But the night wasn't just about in-ring competition. Siino B Detroit kept the conversation lively throughout the night, offering sharp insights, hilarious asides, and deep dives into the evolving landscape of NXT. They broke down every match, segment, and storyline thread with the kind of passion and detail that has made the bidet one of the most beloved voices in wrestling podcasting. Between matches, the duo reflected on the evolution of NXT, marveling at how it has become a global showcase for emerging talent. They praised the international flavor of the brand, highlighting how performers like Inamura, Hendry, and King are bringing diverse styles and fresh stories to the NXT audience. They also previewed what's to come in the weeks ahead, new rivalries, rising stars, and the ever-looming shadow of the NXT Championship picture. With names like Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, and Oba Femi lurking in the wings, the competition for the top spot has never been fiercer. Siino and Detroit shared a laugh over some of the night's more entertaining backstage vignettes, including a hilarious skit featuring Brooks Jensen trying to start a country music band with Chase U, a segment that may or may not have involved a kazoo. They didn't shy away from critiquing what didn't work, calling out some questionable production choices and a few matches that could have benefited from tighter pacing. But their critiques were always fair, constructive, and grounded in a love for professional wrestling. The episode also included some intriguing teases for the upcoming Great American Bash, with video packages hinting at the return of several former NXT stars and the possible debut of a new faction targeting the tag division. Throughout the show, Siino and Detroit kept the listeners engaged, weaving in plugs for Poisonrana's growing podcast network. They reminded fans that for just $5 on Patreon, they could unlock a treasure trove of content, from retro PPV reviews to in-depth movie discussions and beyond. They shouted out their loyal listeners, gave love to the post-wrestling community, and encouraged everyone to join the ongoing conversation on the post-wrestling forum, where debates about NXT's booking and fantasy dream matches rage on long after the final bell. As the night wound down, they paid tribute to Warren D, PXCH, and Shaheen Abdi for their work on the iconic NXT theme song, a track that continues to get heads nodding and toes tapping across the wrestling podcast universe. The hosts also spotlighted the latest drop from Poisonrana merch, with brand new t-shirts and hoodies now available on chopped-tees.com, featuring designs inspired by the show's unique blend of humor and hardcore wrestling fandom. And of course, they urged fans to subscribe wherever they get their podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and beyond, making sure no one misses a minute of the action, whether it's NXT, Shot in the Dark, or Eagles Don't Hunt Flies. As they wrapped up the show, Siino in Detroit reflected on what a wild ride this episode of NXT had been. From Borne's technical showcase to Hendry's thunderous debut and Inamura's star-making performance, it was a night that reminded everyone why NXT remains a can't-miss destination for wrestling fans. They closed with a reminder to tune in next week for another live NXT post show, where the action, analysis, and antics will continue as the road to the Great American Bash heats up. With one last salute to Canada Day and a nod to the bidet enjoying some well-earned time off, the duo signed off, leaving listeners eagerly awaiting what surprises next Tuesday will bring. For more of their work and the entire Poisonrana family, they encouraged everyone to check out Poisonrana.ca, a hub for all things wrestling and pop culture, where passion meets podcasting every single week. And just like that, another chapter in the ever-evolving story of WWE NXT came to a close. But the excitement, debate, and fandom live on, from the ring to the podcast feed and beyond.